All right, everyone, remember last year or not even, when Twitter used to say that it was weird and it was a conspiracy theory when people were claiming to be shadow banned? They were dragged before Congress to answer for this earlier this year. Ted Cruz, among other people, was questioning Twitter. Not Jack Dorsey directly, but other people, representatives and lawyers for the company, saying, well, there's suppression of people, conservative voices going on, and one of the ways in which this is done isn't to kick anyone off the platform, but to very silently just prevent them from spreading information as far. Twitter said, no, that doesn't really happen. We don't have an official way to do that. We leave things alone. Then they were very hush-hush, and services were developed to determine whether people had been shadow banned, because it was self-explanatory. You've got a person who, by and large, has an extremely larger audience than another individual. They're tweeting on the same thing at the same time, with the same amount of overall talent or vigor, you'd say, and yet getting a tenth of the interaction. And it's inexplicable. What's happened is that certain individuals are demoted on site. YouTube now does this as well. When they say, well, we're promoting priority content, we're promoting, especially with regards to news, this is the new thing, we're promoting authoritative voices. What that really means is that they are demoting everybody else who covers similar material. Even if that's not the intention, that is the effect. It's the pragmatic, on-the-ground effect for every other content creator, affecting people like me especially. With Twitter, they've now inserted into their TOS shadow banning. Which is funny, because if this wasn't a practice, if Twitter was not lying to Congress and they were indeed telling the truth before, why did they suddenly dream it up now? It's because they're covering their ass. They want to make it clear that people that are using their service agree that they can shadow ban them. That's basically what it boils down to. Which means that when they told people that it wasn't happening, they were lying. When they told Congress, no, we don't just fiddle around with anything, dude, unless you're saying totally, being illegal or encouraging violence or something, you're fine on the platform. We treat everybody equally. Well, no, you don't. Obviously you don't. Jack Dorsey's the most disingenuous tech leader in Silicon Valley. That's why he's fleeing to Africa. He's probably worried that upon the institution of this new TOS, Congress will say, I wonder if they had been shadow banning people before and this is an attempt to cover their ass, and they'll probably try to call him in for questioning. Well, if he's in, Nairobi or something, it's going to be kind of hard to do that, especially when you've got billions of dollars. If you're not physically within the country, you think they're going to mobilize the CIA to go, they're going to fly a helicopter over his house and they're going to invade him and come through the window and drag Jack Dorsey off to Gitmo or something? No, probably not. And then they work openly with Zuckerberg at this point. The tech firms are becoming more censored across the board. All of the big tech firms are now censoring more and more. This started with the early wave of it a few years ago. Is like when Patreon was like, well, it's manifest observable behavior. You have to physically do something that could cause violence or break the law or something will kick you off the platform. This was like with Lauren Southern. That was several years ago. Since then, obviously, that has changed. The initial selling point that they gave to the public about their censorship was a lie. That is, they censor for far more than that now. They censor people for their ideology. They censor people and demote them or kick them off these platforms for little things, not just big ones. Basically, they can just say, well, BuzzFeed claims this person is unreliable and a conspiracy theorist, so we're limiting everything they do. And then when that person gets angry and responds, they just kick them off the platform. It's a very, very interesting way that they're going about it. And that is the point. They're trying to put pressure on people. They're trying to, what you do is, imagine that you ban the cutting edge of something. You've got a school of thought, a field, a subgenre of content creation, and you just blanket ban everyone that's on the fringe. The problem is you haven't gotten rid of a fringe, you've created a new one. This is inevitably what happens because there's still an edge there. There's still an edge of what is acceptable. It's just people that are one step removed from the ones you've already banned. And then within a couple of years, the outrage mobs that contribute to banning people will want that other fringe gone too. It is inevitable. The tech firms will normalize the new situation, now see that as the fringe. This is why people like me are worried. I am not currently worried about being banned, for instance, from YouTube. My content is not on the edge of what YouTube finds acceptable, but it is demoted, which shows me that it's on that spectrum close enough to the edge that if enough people are kicked off the platform 5 years from now, it could be me. which is why I stand against it in every possible way. I think it's a terrible idea for the platform, and it is out of self-preservation too. Arguing against censorship makes sense unless you are part of the accepted, true, boring, cloying, politically correct soccer mom center. Everybody else on the left, on the right, and I see the left starting to jump the ship on supporting censorship, which is good. It's to their benefit. If you're anywhere on any edge, you're too libertarian, you're too fascistic, you're too far left, you're too far right. The corporations that make up Silicon Valley do not like you. No, they don't like some paleocon any more than they like someone who professes that they're a Nazbol. They don't like libertarians. They also don't like people who delve into fascism or classical liberalism. Anything outside of the neocon, neo-lib sort of core, or maybe a step and a half removed from that, is outside of what they feel comfortable with. Now, at first, it could be that they only ban an Alex Jones. Well, he's a big conspiracy theorist. We're not letting him on the platform. Dude, it starts with that and it keeps going. It is very interesting, especially in regards to InfoWars, that he was blanket banned across most of the visible internet with the understanding that it was about a lawsuit. Oh, well, he's defaming people. He wasn't even found guilty of it in a civil court and he had already been banned. Effectively, by the way, denying him his ability to defend himself. These Silicon Valley firms, we need to start reining them in, and I'll tell you why. They are starting to impugn upon people's natural rights, not just the ability to speak or express oneself. They're also leaning on the banking system. The whole internet has begun leaning on the banking system with regards to guns, firearms, the Second Amendment, the right to privacy. They're selling data to foreign companies, while taking grants and partnerships and platforming government officials and services, by the way, which are taxpayer funded. That's unacceptable. They've begun explicitly now, after a fashion, to screw people over in the legal sense with regards to criminal and civil cases. If you've got a person on the internet who's not able to crowdfund or anything, you've got someone whose job essentially is they're on the internet. They create content, videos, they have a good blog, they do Instagram selling, and then they get shut off from all of that. Their payment processor locks up, so their website goes down and everything. They get masked to platform without being found guilty of any crime. They're no longer even capable of defending themselves against the presumption of guilt in those cases. Silicon Valley, in essence, is literally influencing the legal system in the sense of putting people in prison, in the sense of lawsuits. That should not be happening. For anybody on the left to say that they actually think that that's a good idea, you must be absolutely insane, number one. And number two, you must be deluded because you don't think that this is going to happen to people that are on the fringe of the left as well. And by the way, most of the time, people don't consider themselves to be part of the fringe, even if their views are kind of out there. They always normalize their own views, unless they're a total crazy maverick, in which case they just try to be edgy. And that's like 1% of people, so, go ahead and try. Be a G.G. Allen if you want to. There's something to be said for it, at least it's not boring. But most people, they seek to normalize themselves, even if they are fringe, like some communist saying, well, my views aren't really out there. All I'm doing is saying that people should live and let live and share things, and they'll sugarcoat it. But that's not the way that Jack Dorsey sees you. Some person, like, they have a poster of Hitler in their fucking bedroom. Oh, this is totally normal. He's just a great dude. Okay, well, the average person doesn't do that. Certainly, Susan at YouTube probably is not appreciative of that sort of ideology. You've got to understand that. Nobody should be fighting for censorship. Any time that attempts are made to limit what people can talk about, how they can talk about it, it is bad faith. It is never done with benevolence. It is never actually done. Silicon Valley's billionaires can sell it as family-friendly, suppressing hate, increasing the circulation of authoritative voices. No, it's not. It's about money. These are corporations. They want money. They're run by people who want money. They think they can get money by selling censorship as a branding opportunity. They're getting free publicity. It's largely positive because it's coming from the legacy media, because they're suppressing the competitors of the legacy media. Legacy corporations that say brick and mortar with factories and shit, as opposed to like the new age of independently created stuff. Why do you think you get so many hit pieces on 3D printing and stuff like that? And personal drones and people being able to make their own websites and put their content out there. This was never a problem 10 years ago. It's not a problem now. There is no problem with hate on the internet. There's no problem with cyberbullying. There's no problem with extremism. The only extremism is people being led to believe that censorship by billionaires is a good thing. Jack Dorsey included in that number. Is he a billionaire? I'm just assuming that he is because he runs Twitter. Of course, considering how poorly Twitter is run, you never know at this point. That's about all. Peace out.